a little too loud. There we go. Now we're all right. All right. Peace. All right, so what we're looking at, as the title says, is we are looking at Isaiah 58. It's been my belief that all of Isaiah 58 is been about the atonement. And you see some people say that Isaiah 58, 13 and 14 are about the Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath. Now, my thinking for that was that Isaiah 58, 13 and 14, because they deal with pleasures, spoke to the day of affliction. Refraining from pleasures spoke to the day of affliction, as there's no mention of that about the Sabbath. But we're going to look at the script says in a little more detail. And we're going to start off by reading Isaiah 58, 13. Isaiah 58, 13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words. So a couple of things here. Thy pleasure, your own ways, your own pleasure, your own words are not supposed to be going down on this day. So let's look at the Sabbath and let's look at the Day of Atonement. We're going to look at the Sabbath. We're going to look at the stipulations for the Sabbath. Then we're going to look at atonement, look at the stipulations for atonement, and then see what it's really talking about. See if we can piece it together. So we're going to start in Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23, verse 3. Again, we're looking at the weekly Sabbath here. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest. In holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord, not the Jews, not the Seventh-day Adventists, of the Lord in all your dwellings. That's what it says about the Sabbath. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. There are 6 days. There's a seventh day. On that seventh day, you're supposed to rest. You're supposed to convocate. Not supposed to do any work. And it applies to everybody. All right. So let's go to verse 28 and 32. Actually, we're going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to 28 and 32, and we're going to go ahead and look at atonement because they both are called Sabbaths. So we're just going to read that. 28, 32. 28 and 32. All right. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord. Verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. And so when you're looking at Isaiah 58, 13 and 14, it says Sabbath. But is that the weekly Sabbath we read about in verse 3? Or is that the Day of Atonement Sabbath we're reading about right here? So let's look at the Sabbath. Let's go to Exodus 20. Let's look at the stipulations for the Sabbath. All right, this is the commandment about the Sabbath. Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it Thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So this applies to everyone breathing, basically. Everyone that is capable of doing any work, anyone who you have any kind of supervisory or control over, anything like that is supposed to be totally at rest, free to chill, free to rejuvenate, spend time with their family, nobody stressing, everybody good. Verse 11. Oh, we're only supposed to read verse 8. So, no, we're supposed to read verse 11. So let's read verse 11. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth. So this is the Lord. This is Jesus. So heaven and earth were created by him and for him. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So this is a day totally separated from every other day of the week. This is a day that is special compared to every other day of the week. This is a day that's not to be handled like every other day of the week. This is a day that's supposed to be of total peace and total rest. Let's look at Ezekiel 20. Let's start to get an idea of what it means to keep it holy. Ezekiel 20, because it is a hallowed day. Ezekiel 20, verse 15 through 16 and verse 21. All right. This is the Most High speaking through Ezekiel about the Israelites and Moses and them during the Exodus. Yet also I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands, because they despised my judgments and walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. How did they pollute their Sabbath? That's what we want to figure out. How did they pollute the Sabbath? Let's look at verse 21. Notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me. They walked not in my statutes, neither kept my judgments to do them, which if a man do, he shall live in them. So connect that with Galatians 3, I think it's 11 and 12, where it says we're justified by faith. But the man that doeth the law, doeth the commandments, which is not of faith, if he does them, shall live in them. The commandments are always associated with life. You're not going to find anywhere in the Bible where it talks about the commandments of the law of God being associated with you dying or being in a bad way, of it being of no benefit to you. It is always a benefit to you to do the commandments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. They polluted my Sabbaths. Then I said I would pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness. So take note of the fact that if you keep the Sabbath, if you don't keep the Sabbath here, if you pollute the Sabbath, there's some consequences, some negative consequences, some undesirable consequences, some misfortunes, some things you don't want to happen. So keep that part in mind. If you pollute the Sabbath, nothing good's coming to you except for fury and anger from the Most High. Okay, so now let's look at how the Sabbath was polluted. Let's go to Exodus 16. Exodus 16:28. This is what he was referring to in Ezekiel. It's a piece of what he was referring to, because they were steady hard-headed. So Exodus 16, it says 28 through 28. Let's see. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? See, For that the Lord had given you the Sabbath, therefore he giveth you on the sixth day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place, let no man go out of his place on the seventh day. So the people rested on the seventh day, and the house of Israel thereof called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. And Moses said, This is the thing which the Lord commanded. Fill an omer of it to keep it for your generations, that they may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Moses said unto Aaron, Take a pot and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations. As the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept, and the children of Israel did eat manna 40 days until they came to the land inhabited. They did eat manna until they came into the borders of the land Canaan. Now, an omer is a tenth part of an ephah. So I think I read there more than I was supposed to read. But the thing is, what they were supposed to do up here in verses 28, I think that was supposed to go through 31 or 30, was that it was further up. Yeah, I think this is the part I wanted up here. Yeah, I think that was supposed to be 23 to 28, 22. So let's just read it. And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread. So on the sixth day of the week, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said unto them, This is that which the Lord hath said, Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye will bake today, and seed that ye will seed, and that which remaineth over layeth up for you to be kept until the morning. So what he's saying is, before the Sabbath day starts, cook and prepare and boil what it is you're going to need for the seventh day. Leftovers. Prepare your leftovers, or prepare enough on the sixth day so you have leftovers for the seventh day. So there's a couple things here. Let me see. I think I was supposed to go into the next chapter. Went into the next chapter. No. I'm looking for okay. So I'm confusing 2 points. I'm getting Numbers and Exodus blended together. That's where my mind is. All right. So with here, the point is simply that you are supposed to gather what it is you're supposed to gather, or obtain what it is you're supposed to obtain, and prepare what it is you're supposed to prepare prior to the Sabbath. That way you don't have to do it on the Sabbath. So doing that is a way in which they polluted the Sabbath. He didn't want you out here getting anything or cooking anything, as we see in verse 23. Bake what you're going to bake, and seed what it is you're going to seed, which is boil. Let's go to Exodus 35:3. All right. Let's see what else he says. And we're going to start at 2 for this one. 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. That's how serious it was. He shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. So therefore, you're not starting any fires so that you cook. There's no baking. Like we already said, there's none of that. You're not starting a fire, so you're not cooking. especially not cooking a new meal. All we have is leftovers. Only people doing any cooking on this day are priests at the temple of the animal sacrifices people are bringing. And then they're sharing that with people who don't have anything to eat. Hence, when Jesus was doing all that good on the Sabbath and the Pharisees were coming at him, he was serving people that needed to be served, just like the Levites were. Let's go to Numbers 15. Well, this is what I was blending with Exodus 16 earlier. Numbers 15, 32 to 36. All right, so remember we talked about how they weren't supposed to go out and gather manna or anything else on the Sabbath. They were supposed to gather a double portion on the sixth day, so they had enough left over for the seventh day and didn't have to go out and do anything. All right. So on verse 32 through 36, let's look at what happened to two men who chose to pollute the Sabbath by gathering. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation. And they put him in ward, because it was not declared what should be done to him. And the Lord said unto Moses, he had already told them to put anybody to death that was found doing this. But just like us these days and throughout the generations, we're like, is the Lord really serious about this? Is the Sabbath really that serious? But let's see, was it that serious to the Lord? And check the consistency. These people died immediately, just like it says in the New Testament. In Hebrews 10, violators of the law were killed by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Jesus' blood gives us a little more grace, gives us a grace period to kind of get ourselves right, because we're so far removed, I guess. But when Jesus comes back, all of this goes back into place. So violators of the Sabbath, you got one reward, and keepers of the Sabbath got another reward. Both of those rewards are not positive. And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death, and all the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died, as the Lord commanded Moses. So polluting the Sabbath deals with going out there and gathering, acquiring things. He does not want us to do that. It's not what our minds should be on. If we were obedient, we would have had our provisions for the Sabbath. Let's go to Exodus 31. (14 through 17). Ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. How do we know we're talking about the weekly Sabbath here? Because of the next verse. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath, he shall surely be put to death. Violating the Sabbath is always associated with being put to death. Verse 16, wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. It means it never stops. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. But let me ask you, the children of Israel, who did that include? Was that just Israelites? Let's see. Is that just Israelites? Exodus 12:38, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, in flocks and herds, even very much cattle. Nehemiah 13, now it came to pass when they had heard the law that they had separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. Does that mean that what was said to Israel doesn't apply to them? No. Let me show you. It's throughout. Exodus 12:49, one law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. So Israelite, or whoever's hanging out with you. Leviticus 24:22, you shall have one manner of law, as well for the stranger as for one of your own country, for I am the Lord your God. Numbers 15:16, one law and one manner shall be for you, and for the stranger that sojourneth with you. In Ezekiel 47, you got the Israelites getting their land, and the strangers get their inheritance according to what tribe they hang out with. The children of Israel is inclusive. It is not just Israelites. All right, so let's go back to Nehemiah 13. Nehemiah 13. And we're looking at 15 through 19. In those days saw I in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves, and lading asses, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So this is people gathering and doing their regular weekly work on the Sabbath, bringing in all their goods, all their harvest, all that kind of stuff. Just regular work. Got their animals working, got the asses, got the donkeys carrying things in, and they're out there gathering stuff. All right, verse 16. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath? Oh, so selling things, gathering things, making animals work is evil, and it profanes the Sabbath day. Verse 18, did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? So Nehemiah is connecting this profaning of the Sabbath, and polluting of the Sabbath, not keeping of the Sabbath, not hollowing of the Sabbath, with all these misfortunes that have gone on for the people. Imagine if people did that today. Instead of trying to protest and lobby and use social media to run their mouths, just try to start lining up with what the Father wants, what Jesus has commanded. So what we're reading here, let me finish reading. Verse 19, and it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. Some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should be no burden, that no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. So Nehemiah was trying to enforce the Sabbath. He was trying to be the one that held the line. Everybody was slack about the Sabbath, thought they could do whatever it is they wanted to do, like the Sabbath, or treat it just like another day. So treading the wine presses, bringing in sheaves, lading asses, gathering wine, grapes, figs, fish, various things, brought into Jerusalem. These are all things you need. None of these things are bad, right? Selling victuals, Gates are openable, allowing burdens, things, merchandise to be brought in. This was a violation of the Sabbath. This is profaning the Sabbath. This is polluting the Sabbath. Jeremiah 17. We'll see something similar. 20 through 27. And say unto them, hear ye the word of the Lord, ye kings of Judah, and all Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. Thus saith the Lord, take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day. Neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their necks stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction. Now the Pharisees took this to a whole nother level. You can't even pick up your mat and walk. That's coming from a spirit of trying to control another person, or trying to rule over another man, or rule over people, enjoying your position a little bit too much, to the fact that you miss the spirit of the law. Verse 23, but they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their necks stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of the... Now pay attention to this. Pay attention to how 24 and 25 are set up, and then compare it to Isaiah 58, 13 and 14. And they sound exactly the same. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes, sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and this city shall remain forever. Doesn't that sound like riding on high places? Doesn't that sound like if you delight in the Sabbath, he's going to make your life a delight? You could really just read those two verses right there and go back and read Isaiah 58, 13 and 14 and turn this video off, because that's really what did it for me. But you're going to see when we read through Isaiah 58 right now, you'll see. Hopefully it'll click a little more, Lord willing. Let's go back to Nehemiah 13. Nehemiah 13, 22. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should come and keep the gates, to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of thy mercy. The Sabbath was sanctified by enforcing the previously stated stipulations, which separate the seventh day from the other 6 days of work. There's no going in and out, doing as you please on the Sabbath. I like to make money. You like to make money? That's a pleasure. You like to go out and buy things, go to the mall? That's a pleasure. Let's keep going. I don't want to speak my own words on this, because I have refrained from doing this lesson on what you should and should not do on the Sabbath, because the Bible is very specific about what you should not do and do on the Sabbath. Yet you hear from a lot of people other things that you should and should not do on the Sabbath. But in looking at Isaiah 58, it was kind of necessary for me, at least. So Exodus 23:12. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the seventh day thou shalt rest, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. So refreshing. So you're supposed to be refreshed. The Sabbath is about being refreshed. When you see somebody else working for you, if you're a good-hearted person, are you refreshed? 100% refreshed? Because I don't know about you, if I see somebody working for me or serving me, I want to help them. You can't just sit on your butt and let people do things for you unless you just can't get off your butt. And if you just can't, there needs to be an extraordinary amount of thanks. But nobody should be working on the Sabbath. Nobody should be serving on the Sabbath. It should be a day of rest, rejuvenation, and refreshing. Let's go to Philemon 1:4. Always in every prayer of mine for you all, making request with joy. Always in every prayer of mine for you all, making request with joy. With you all, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. Even as it is meet for me to think of this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye are all partakers of my grace. So this is a refreshing by communing with others of the faith. It is encouraging. It is uplifting. It helps rejuvenate and refresh you so you can go another 6 days of trouble. And let's go to that, because this verse doesn't specifically say anything about the Sabbath, but pick up on it. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. That is not about the Sabbath, but to me it screams a Sabbath, because the Sabbath is a house. It represents a house, represents safety, represents refuge, where everybody can gather, the eagle's wings. And this verse I didn't write down, but I think this is what it was. Psalms. No. Let's see. I think it was this one. All right. Refreshed by consuming the word is the point. And I believe this is the verse that I was referring to. Verse 2, my soul thirsteth for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before my God? Thirsteth for the living God. When shall I come and appear? But what is God? What are his words? His words are spirit. When you eat them, you should be refreshed. Let's see. It is a spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak to you, they are spirit, they are life. Word, spirit, life, healing, it's all the same. So when we're talking about the Sabbath, you should be consuming the word. There should be an ingesting of the word. There should be some time spent with Jesus, the word, so that you can be truly refreshed and healed, ready for the upcoming week. Now, let's look at the stipulations for the Atonement Sabbath. All right. Also, on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, that same soul will I destroy from among his people. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. So, for the Day of Atonement, Sabbath, which is yearly, one day a year, you're supposed to gather with the saints. That's the holy convocation piece. Rest, just like the Sabbath. And this is no manner of work. This is no work at all, period. And why? Because you're not eating and you're not drinking for this 24-hour period. So no work. He's totally merciful in what he's doing. They seem like rules, but they're really, what do you call them? Almost like braces. Those things that keep you straight. I forgot the term it uses in Hebrews 12. It talks about making the lame straight or making the lame walk. He's giving us the keys to life. He's giving us the keys to be healthy. He's giving us the keys to be okay mentally. And the other part to the Day of Atonement is afflict yourself. Daniel afflicted himself one way. Jesus afflicted himself another way. I think Elijah or Enoch, I think it was Elijah that afflicted himself another way. But in this, it's no food or no water. No food or no water. It's 24 hours. You're afflicting your body. And everybody can go where most people can go. The majority of people can go 24 hours without food and water. So those are the stipulations, or some of the stipulations. Let's look at a couple of other stipulations. This is the Day of Atonement in a Jubilee year. So this is, you got 6 Day of Atonements, so 6 years, and then you got a Jubilee year. And the Day of Atonement in that Jubilee year is a special day. And we are looking at verses 9 and 10. And we'll start at 8. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years. And the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. That's the Day of Atonement. In the Day of Atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall, now keep in mind, it's always about everybody. He's not a respecter of persons. If you want his love and you want to show him love and you want to show your neighbor love, your brother love, your sister love, then you're invited, you're welcomed in. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow, neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of thine vine undressed. For it is the Jubilee, it shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. Went a lot further than I was supposed to. All right. So the whole thing here is, in addition to gathering with the saints or convocating, no rest, no work at all, just resting and afflicting yourself, a trumpet's to be blown, liberty is proclaimed for everybody. Everybody's set free. Debts are wiped out. There's no sowing, reaping, or gathering on this day either. All debts are forgiven. Oppression is not allowed. So this is a total day of release and freedom from all fleshly work, from all fleshly obligations. Think about it. You're ignoring your flesh. You're releasing that person of their earthly or fleshly obligations or requirements or duties. Debts are released. People are free to start over. What a refreshing time. What a day of reflection. So let's go back to Isaiah 58 and actually read the whole chapter verse by verse, and we're almost done. We're going to read it verse by verse. All right. Let's see. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins. So Israel's sins are about to be announced. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to God. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? So there's the association between the affliction and fasting. Afflicting yourself, afflicting your soul, which is your body, your person, is fasting. Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors. So he's telling them, well, they're asking, wherefore, like, what are we fasting for? And he's explaining to them, behold, in the day of your fast, ye find pleasure and exact all your labors. You do whatever it is you want to do. And we already know that he said there's no work supposed to be done on this day. You see the affliction word there, and you see the pleasure word there. All right. They oppose each other in that one. But let's keep reading. Verse 4, behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. So again, there's the fast, right? We're referring to a fast. Verse 5, is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? But thou call this a fast, and an acceptable day to the Lord? So again, we're still referring to fasting. Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke? So now, again, he's going back to the spirit of Jubilee, that Day of Atonement in that Jubilee year. So is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh. So this is going back to Matthew 25 too. He's talking about the sheep and the goats. But he's saying, is it not to deal thy bread? So we know we're still talking about fasting here. We're still talking about the Day of Atonement here. He's saying, is it not? So he's laying down what it is they're doing versus what it is he's expected. And now he's saying, then. So if you had done the Day of Atonement correctly, if you had fasted correctly, if you had done this day of fasting the way I desired it to be done, then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine house shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Then thou shalt call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and speaking vanity. So he's telling you right here, if thou take away the midst of thee the yoke, so no more working, putting forth of the finger, doing labor, and running your mouth, making your plans, your business plans, whatever it might be, buying things for the week, all of that. You're concerned with your life. And really, what you're concerned with is saving yourself, providing for yourself. That's really what this comes down to. Because you're not acknowledging who is really making your labor effective, who is really making your work fruitful. It's not all you. You got to fall back and recognize that it's the Most High doing it. And if you recognize that, you also know that you don't have to work 7 days a week. You don't have to work 24 hours a day. And if you got to take time during the week to let your body rest, you got to take time once a week that your body and mind rest, your whole soul. Verse 10, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones. And thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not. And all of that is referring. So he says then, and he says and then verse 11 and then verse 12 and they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. And that's dope. We have the opportunity to be called that, the peacemakers. Okay, so ignore the heading here. We're going to act like that heading isn't there. So it says, and they, and this is what you're going to be called if you do that. Now check it. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day. So let's read it. Let's go through that just real quick. Israel is tripping. They keep asking me, why are they not being blessed for fasting? Why are things not going the way they're fasting? I'm telling them, you're not fasting the way I told you to do it. I didn't tell you to do that on the fast, when we're fasting on the Day of Affliction, Day of Atonement. I didn't tell you to do that either. You didn't catch the whole spirit of what it is I taught you or told you. I expected you to do this. I expected you to do this. It's really about this. And if you had done that, everything would have been good. And if you do that, you're going to get a reward. Now, go back to Jeremiah 17 and check this out. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath of delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. He's referring to, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but so verse 13 begins a second set of conditions. In verse 14, this is the set of rewards that applies to those conditions. So you have a set of conditions, or you have a set of conditions in verses 12 and before, and then you have a set of conditions at 13 and the reward at 14. Let's look at it. Go to Isaiah 56 and confirm it. And remember, keep in mind Jeremiah 17 and how it compares to these two right here. And you're going to see the same thing, Isaiah 56. (56:2). Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the son of man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Verse 5. Even unto them will I give into mine house. There's always an association with salvation when he's talking about the weekly Sabbath, like every single time. The thrones of David, that's the kingdom. But we just read in 14, to ride upon the high places of the earth and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob. This is the kingdom. The wrong way. Say 56. (5). Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, every one that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it. From polluting, and we saw what it means to pollute it, and taketh hold of my covenant. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar. For my house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. You keep the Sabbath, you get into the house of prayer. The Sabbath is just a shadow of things to come. It represents the kingdom. And if you look at the other feast days in Leviticus 23, you'll see at the end there is an 8th day feast. There's not 8 days of the week. Just like New Jerusalem ain't really here. And it comes after the 1,000-year period. It comes after the Sabbath of 1,000 years. Everything in Leviticus 23 points us to something that happened to the Israelites and the plan of salvation. The whole story. Verse 8, the Lord God, which gathereth the outcast of Israel, said, yet will I gather others to him besides those that are gathered unto him. So is it just Israel? No. And these people who are not Israelites are going to be given names better than of sons of daughters. They're going to be adopted. It says, blessed is the man that doeth this, and the son of man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it. Let's go back to Jeremiah 17. 24 to 26. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city, polluting it on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath, to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and this city shall remain forever. If you keep the Sabbath, you would have had heaven on earth. If you Israelites had kept the Sabbath and didn't pollute the land, didn't pollute Jerusalem, y'all could have had heaven on earth, which is what's coming. Okay? So let's go to Exodus 31. "17. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For 6 days the Lord made heaven and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever." And we already saw this is not saying only Israel. This is saying Israel and anybody who is hanging, sojourning, learning, being obedient with Israel. That applies to anyone. Jesus rested, he was refreshed. Keep making that point. That's what the Sabbath is about. Ezekiel 20, verse 11. This city shall not be your cauldron, neither shall ye be the flesh in the midst thereof, but I will judge you in the border of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord, for ye have not walked in my statutes, neither executed my judgments, but have done after the manners of the heathen that are round about you. This is the wrong. There we go. And I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. We've read that, I think, twice already before. We read it once, then I referred to it in Galatians. But this is the third time. And I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. That is consistent from the beginning to the end. The commandments and the law show you how to live. They are not a burden. Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them. Obey his commandments. Obeying his commandments equals eternal life, especially keeping all of the Sabbaths. So he said, moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths. We're talking about both. He's talking about both right here. That they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them. So what do you do with that? Because you see the similarity between the day of affliction, the day of atonement, and the Sabbath throughout. So what we have to try to figure out here is, okay, there's a set of pleasures you can't indulge in on the atonement, because we read that, right? It said fast, afflict, and it said your pleasures. So there's some pleasures you're not supposed to do on the Day of Atonement, but there's also some pleasures you're not supposed to do on the Sabbath. Because all of the Sabbaths are supposed to be set apart. They're all different from the other days of the week. So let's look at some more detail as far as what is the Lord's pleasure for the Sabbath. Not our pleasure, but what is the Lord's pleasure for the Sabbath. And so this is the good part right here for me. Revelation 1. Revelation 1, 5 through 6. And from Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood, and hath made us kings and priests unto God and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. So what are you? Or what are we? We're kings and priests. All right, so when we read the following verses, keep in mind that we are kings and priests. Like little Melchizedek's. All right, so let's go to Leviticus 10. Our job is to serve everyone else and to teach them what the Most High has brought to us. Leviticus 10, 9 through 10. Okay, 9 through 10. Do not drink wine or strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee. Actually, let's go back up. And the Lord spake unto Aaron. So Aaron was the high priest, and his sons followed after him. They were him in training, and they had a special role in the temple. Do not drink wine nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee. Like ever? Like at all? No. When ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die, it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. And that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean, and that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Lord hath spoken unto them by the hand of Moses. So when you're serving in the tabernacle, when you're serving in the temple, when you're serving in church or camp, you're supposed to be sober. So that way your discernment isn't thrown off. So that you can teach or convey what it is you're supposed to teach and convey. So you can encourage others appropriately. Whatever your spiritual gift is, when it's time to serve the Lord, you should be sober. Because you are a king and a priest. Service is not the time for priests to be intoxicated. So should we be intoxicated or imbibing before we go to class? Nope. If we are facilitating some kind of facilitating Passover in our homes or holding class in our homes, should we be drinking or smoking prior to? No, our minds need to be clear so that we can serve accurately. Hebrews 10:25. And here we go with the convocating, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so the more as ye see the day approaching. So not forsaking, so not missing a convocation. Whatever Sabbath it is. Why? Because we need to exhort each other. We need to encourage each other. You need to see me, I need to see you, that you're still in it. If you see a look on my face, you come speak to me, encourage me. Likewise. Sheep roll together in following the shepherd. When one sheep goes off by itself, that's not a good thing, because there are a bunch of wild beasts that want to tear you up. And those evil spirits coming at you through people and situations. So we're supposed to assemble with others. That's one of his ways. That's one of the Most High's ways. And what we talked about before is pleasures, as far as alcohol and priests during times of service. That's not the time. Leviticus 15. Leviticus 15, 16 through 18. If any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until even. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water and be unclean until the even. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the even. So, no sex when in the service of the Most High. So no alcohol, no smoking weed, no sex, because you're unclean for 24 hours. If you violate Friday night, or if you violate Friday night and lie with your wife, you're unclean for the whole 24 hours. Should you serve? Not according to what we're reading, because you're unclean and you're profaning. Now, all this uncleanness really speaks to the purity of your mind. But keeping these physical laws reminds us of that. That's why we keep Passover, because it reminds us that we need the blood of Christ. We keep the memorial of the blowing of trumpets because it not only reminds us of Jericho, but it reminds us of the trumpets to come. We keep the Sabbath because it reminds us. We keep the dietary laws of unclean and unclean because it reminds us. And that's beyond just the being obedient part. Our wisdom does not exceed the Father's. So there's a certain amount of just doing what he says. And we'll pick up on it later. So again, if you lie with your wife Friday night, you're unclean until the sun goes down Saturday night. Exodus 19. Let's keep looking at the sex. Exodus 19. 14 through 17. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day, come not at your wives. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mountain, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And so they were supposed to meet with the Lord on this third day, right? And he said, don't lie with your wives. Why? Because as we just said, it makes you unclean. So when you're coming into the presence of the Most High, you want to be in the presence of the Spirit, it's best not to lay with your wife and make yourself unclean. The Most High said he didn't even want to walk through the camp and see their poop. So he said, go outside the camp, take a paddle with you, dig a hole, put it out there, because I don't want nothing to do with that when I come through the camp. Look at Psalm 89. What is that? Yep, Psalm 89. Psalm 89:7. God is greatly to be feared in the assembly of the saints, and to be had in reverence of all them that are about him. The convocation is a time of fear and reverence. And of course, praise and all that goes with the reverence. But it's not a time to be taken lightly, is the point. The assembly is important. He said, don't forsake it. If you're going to assemble, be sober. If you're going to assemble, don't be having sex with your wife within that 24-hour period, or your husband. Exodus 16. This deals with ways and pleasures. Exodus 16:29. See, for that the Lord hath given you the Sabbath, therefore he giveth you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place, let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day, a similar notion as entering or exiting the gates of Jerusalem to acquire things. So this is not saying stay in your house all the whole 24 hours. You gotta go to class, go out there and teach, go out there and serve others, go out there and do good on the Sabbath too. The point is the merchandise piece, the buying and the selling. We're looking at Nehemiah and Jeremiah wanting the gates closed. It's the same principle. It's to, what's the word I'm looking for? To keep it as pure as possible, to keep it as holy as possible. You don't want worldly stuff coming in. You're closing your mind off to worldly things and to worldly stresses. So back to Exodus 35. "6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be unto you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. Whosoever doeth any work therein shall be put to death." So ways and pleasures, no work. Psalm 92. "It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord and to sing praises unto thy name, O Most High." Words. So we're talking about words. What's coming out of your mouth on the Sabbath? It should be giving thanks, singing praises unto the Most High. Ezekiel 46. "Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before the Lord in the Sabbaths and in the new moons." Worship. That's one of the Lord's ways on the Sabbath. Worship. What else? Mark 3:4. "And he saith unto them, Is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath days, or to do evil, to save life, or to kill? But they held their peace." So in terms of ways, doing good, healing, feeding, all the Matthew 25 stuff that separates the sheep from the goats. Meeting your neighbor's needs, not helping him wash his car, not helping him mow his grass. Those things have nothing to do with life. But those things that Jesus listed, as far as clothing, feeding, encouraging, visiting, being a tree of life, representing Jesus, being an ambassador for the Father to your neighbor, treating other people like you want to be treated. Needing shelter, having hunger and food and encouragement. For those who can't do those things for themselves, that's godly, that's good, that is lawful. But to do it for yourself or to make others do it for you, that is evil. Because when you do it for somebody else, you're allowing them to be refreshed and rejuvenated. When you're making someone do it for you, where you're doing it for you, you're adding stress. You're not allowing for the rejuvenation of them or yourself. And Matthew 25 is the last spot. Boom, 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 boom. 35 to 36. For I was an hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee naked or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto me, unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. And I read way more than what I was supposed to on that, but the good, doing that good, is his ways. So we're talking about Isaiah 58. It's pretty clear that both are in that chapter. You got the Day of Atonement through verse 12, and the Sabbath in verses 13 and 14. And it applies to both as far as my pleasures, my ways, and my words. It applies to both days. It's just on the Day of Atonement, you're afflicting your soul. No eating and no drinking for 24 hours. On the Sabbath, it's the same thing, but you can eat and drink. They both represent setting people free. They both are a time for refreshing, rejuvenation, release, restoration, coming together, worship, praise, thanks. So it applies to both. And as far as what we read in that first part about the Day of Atonement and affliction and what we're supposed to be doing for others, according to Jesus, that's an everyday thing. But especially on that day, don't be so focused on yourself and your problems and the affliction you're going through for these 24 hours. Go serve somebody else. I hope that was helpful to somebody. Hope that was clear enough. In Jesus' name, amen.